What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode on Edge Sports Network, part of our summer series. We're coming back to you today with a former Army fullback and current Jacksonville Jaguar signee, Connor Slomka. Connor, we're very happy to have you on today.
Thanks so much for having me on. It's still so weird to hear former Army fullback.
Yeah, it's. I'm sure it's been a little hectic for you and your career. I'm glad that the football season got in, but I'm sure it's still a little hectic to hear that you're no longer part of the squad there.
Yeah, no, I don't know. It's still, I haven't gotten used to it, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we like to do whenever we are starting these off, we obviously want to start to we want to start where it actually all started for you, back in high school, actually. I know you're from Pennsylvania. You went to Pine Richland. You were actually an all-conference and all-state football player, but I think that's not even the most interesting thing about you there in high school. You were also a lacrosse player for 4 years, and even committed to Ohio State. So I kind of want to know a little bit about that. I tried to do as much research as I could on you, and I could not find anything about why you chose football over lacrosse, or how that relationship was going between the two sports.
Yeah, honestly, the reason that I did commit to Ohio State for lacrosse is just because, I don't know if you're familiar with lacrosse recruiting, but, when I was in high school, it was very early on. Some programs would have their classes filled by the time kids were in ninth grade. So, naturally, it just starts a lot earlier than football. So pretty much I just, it was my sophomore year. I think I was 14 years old, and Ohio State offered me to play lacrosse. So, of course, I wasn't, going to turn that down because football normally doesn't start till, junior or senior year. So ultimately, I took the scholarship while it was there, and I did really like lacrosse, but I think I knew the whole time that I really wanted to end up playing football. I just hadn't got any offers yet.
Okay, yeah, no, that's I totally get that there. Was do you after finishing your career there, obviously you chose the right sport. I mean, you're on an NFL roster right now, but do you ever think back and say what would have happened if I would have taken that Ohio State scholarship for lacrosse?
That's honestly, I think I'd be a way different person. I've asked myself that a bunch. I literally can't even imagine, just how different I'd be as a person. And I don't mean that as any disrespect or anything to someone that is at at a state school like that. But I think going to an academy really helped me to become the best version of myself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know obviously your dad, there's a little legacy thing going on there. Your dad played defensive end at Army back in the 90s. So what did that have any impact on your decision to go to Army to play?
I mean, he was never you're definitely going there, and I think you can't really force a kid to go there. You got to intrinsically want something like that to be successful, I think. But I definitely think growing up, just watching, going to Army Navy games or going to Army games in general, and seeing the relationship he had with his past teammates and all that, I definitely think that probably factored in a lot to my decision.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure that, the legacy there, you definitely didn't turn you off at all about going to Army. And honestly, you brought it up, even the Army Navy games. I think people don't understand the intensity in one of those games because people only bring up Ohio State, Michigan, Duke, North Carolina, so on, so on. What, as you played in several of these Army Navy games, what is the atmosphere How is that? Can you even describe what that atmosphere is like for that game?
I mean, playing at Army, being in an independent school, we don't have a conference, so we get the opportunity to play a bunch of really big teams. We got to go to Oklahoma, we've got to go to Michigan, Ohio State, all those big stadiums. But I mean, even when those are packed, I don't think that's even close to the type of experience that you get when you're at an Army Navy game. It's just I guess the only way I could describe it is every single play, people are on the edge of their seats, and I don't think you really get that at most rivalry games.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was watching this year, you guys at Michigan. Obviously, that game went to overtime. It didn't turn out the way you guys wanted to, but what was it even like playing in the big house there? Because I know, like you said, it's nothing compared to Army Navy, but I mean, you guys played just a heck of a close game in Michigan, and in front of the biggest stadium in college football. What was that atmosphere like?
I will say, like, now Army Navy's up there, but Michigan is definitely a close second. Like that, make no mistake, like that stadium is ridiculously loud. Like, can't hear yourself think type loud. I think the biggest difference though is that like at an Army Navy, it's that loud from the kickoff right till the game's over. Whereas at a stadium like Michigan and stuff like that, it is crazy loud, but it's normally at like the real critical points in the game. But playing somewhere like that was so much fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure that game was a ridiculous time, and I know you guys were in it until obviously it went to OT. But talking about your career there at Army, I know I touched on a couple games this past year, but you saw yourself evolve more in the offense every year. You ended up putting a career high for yards and touchdowns this year. What was it like this year? I know you guys didn't finish the way you wanted to, record-wise, but what was it like this year in your development and your maturity as a player?
Honestly, it was tough this year. Like whenever you don't see the wins, I thought we put in, if not much more, like at least personally, and I could see, my peers, and to see that not pay off, in terms of like how many wins we ended up with, that was honestly really hard. I mean, it was great to, be a bigger role in the offense and get the opportunity to play more and do more things, but honestly, it was really challenging just, not always seeing it pay off.
Yeah, I'm sure that was definitely tough. For your senior year, you wanted to go out on the highest note possible and just kind of hit a little snag there. But talking in regards to your time at Army, what things are you going to carry from your time at West Point into your next opportunity with the Jacksonville Jaguars?
I mean, when I think about like what I'll carry with me, I think whenever you go to an academy, somewhere like Army, I think that place helps to make you the best. It's going to find whatever your weaknesses are, and it's going to expose them, and you're going to either have to overcome them or not if you want to be successful. I think when I think like the thing I'll take with me the most is just learning like in this it's so overused, but that grind type of mentality. Like so often, especially at Army, you're running off of 4.5 hours of sleep, and you still got 5 practices in the week, and you're playing Ohio State this Saturday, and on top of that, you have all these different essays and military requirements, and just realizing, nobody cares. People just care about how you produce, and they want to see results. And I think that's probably one of the best things I learned about myself and just how to cope with through going to Army. And I hope that I can carry that into Jacksonville.
Yeah, that's kind of wild actually when you put it like that. You don't really realize how much, even at West Point, you really put into the day. I went to the University of Missouri, so I guess I had a little bit of different experience there. What was probably the biggest what was the biggest difference between going to a school like West Point? I know you had kind of just explained a little bit of everything that you guys did, but what is an experience that you would only experience at West Point instead of any other state school?
I think that by far, the biggest thing that I had that I'd say the difference is, first off, learning how to be a follower, and then also, being able to lead your peers. I don't think at any other school other than a military academy, when you come in, are you immediately a subordinate to somebody? You're all just a student body. I think that whenever you go to West Point, I think, to be a leader, you need to be a great follower. And you have to be a follower pretty much all the way up until you're a senior, really. And then once you get to your senior level, it's not even, then it's a whole new slew of issues in terms of just like leadership conflicts, in terms of leading amongst your peers and subordinates, which I think is definitely a difference, and it's also one of the things that makes it one of the best places I think you could go for as far as leadership institutions.
Yeah, I don't think you can get much better than West Point, and I don't think a lot. I think you do have an edge on a lot of other guys out there because they don't get the same, I guess, acquire the same qualities that you have at West Point. Just talking about your next steps here. I know it's obviously due to COVID, things are a little different in regards to your transition to the NFL. What are you looking forward to the most with your opportunity with the Jaguars coming up here, and what is that looking like? I know like you can't obviously go to the facility quite yet, but what are you looking forward to the most there, and what's on the docket?
I mean, as far as what's on the docket, it's hard because, they can't even really give us any hard times right now just with how dynamic COVID is in terms of when facilities are going to be open and whatnot. So pretty much on my docket, honestly, is just, trying to make sure that I put myself in the best position humanly possible, whether it be physically or learning the playbook mentally. So really on my docket, honestly, that's about it. And for as far as excitement goes, I'm just really – I've always, just like any other kid, I've dreamt my whole life of getting an opportunity like this, and I'm just so thankful to even be in a position like this. There's so many people that made this happen, and I just, I'm excited to hopefully, show them that it was all worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. And in regards to your next step here, are there any current or even past NFL players that you almost modeled yourself after or looked up to the most that would have the same skill sets as you?
Honestly, I have players that I really like to watch and that I really look up to, but playing in the triple option, there's not really a player that you can watch, directly that models what we're trying to do. So, I mean, as far as players I've looked up to, there's a lot of guys that I try to, model my workouts after and such. But, I mean, there's very few players I could really watch and be like, I really want to bring that into my game just because of the nature of how, our offense ran.
Yeah, absolutely. The triple options for sure. You won't be seeing any of that at the next level there.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, so that's definitely understandable there. To kind of wrap up things a little bit, we always try to end with it's not a tough question, but I guess it's one that you either have thought a lot or you just really haven't ever, you maybe have. But what does the game of football mean to you as a person?
To me, what it means to me, it means two things. First off, I think relationships. I think football has brought me the best relationships that I've ever gotten to experience in my life, whether it be through coaches or players or people that were a part of helping the program. Really, football has just put me around so many great people. And then the second would just be the opportunities. I'm not a kid that coming out of high school had any business with getting the chance to go somewhere like West Point. But, just because of this game and the opportunities it brought me, it gave me the chance to get my foot in the door and go to prep school and show people that I could produce there and that I could hang academically and militarily. So I really just think about the relationships and the opportunities it's given me. I'm just so thankful.
Absolutely. I'm sure that you got brothers for life because of your experiences through football. But honestly, Connor, we don't want to take up too much of your time here. We definitely appreciate having you on, and we're going to be big fans of you as you go and compete for a roster spot with the Jaguars.
Thanks so much for even having me on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much. And guys, I will put I'll put his Twitter bio down low, and we'll also put a link to Army football as well as you can maybe follow him and his career and see if we're going to be his biggest fans on the Jacksonville Jaguars this upcoming season. But thank you guys, and we'll catch you next time.